Well, it's official, ladies and gentlemen. Snow White from last year outperformed Hoppers, the sensation according to the media, at the box office. That's right, Rachel Zegler defeated the Beaver. Today we'll tell you how bad it is for Disney and why the narrative is suddenly shifting across the mainstream media, egg on their face, and a beaver dam that will not stand no more. Hello folks, hello friends, welcome back. Yet again, another video of excellence on the way as we uncover the truth with a capital T and pull back the curtains on the hallowed halls of Hollyweird. As we dive in, never fear and click that like button. Let's dive into why the Disney propaganda cannot save their cartoon beaver this time. It's a shocker for the mainstream, lamestream, going extinct dinosaur media, but Hoppers had a worse debut than Rachel Zegler's Snow White, and the media is trying to pretend it is not the reality they live in. The new movie from Pixar, Hoppers, may be performing worse than last year's Snow White. The media refuses to say so. The theatrical debuts of Disney's live-action Snow White and Pixar's animated Hoppers illustrate how dramatically the tone of media coverage can shape the public perception of a film's box office performance. Well, I mean, look at here. The Hollywood Reporter says Pixar has good reason to be jumping for joy over the opening of Hoppers. Hip, hip, hooray! 46 million, that must be great, eh? Oh, wait a minute. Disney Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, debuted last year in March in 2025. Made $43 million at the domestic box office and $87 million globally. All right, hold on to that numbers, ladies and gentlemen. $87 million globally. By comparison, Pixar's Hoppers debuted this year with $46 million domestically and $88 million worldwide. Okay, good. Hoppers beat it by 1 million, right? Wait, oh, there's more in this paragraph. However, Hoppers was given an extra day of previews, along with additional IMAX screenings to pad the weekend. In reality, Snow White outperformed Hoppers. Consider what a colossal failure Rachel Zegler's film was considered to be versus the media coverage today for Pixar's latest. And you can see here, Pixar celebrates, says Deadline, its best opening for an original animated title since 2017's Coco. Woohoo! Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Snow White did better than Hoppers. So what is going on? Why is this reaction the way it is? The reaction to Hoppers has been almost the complete opposite. They're elated. They're in utopia. They love the beav, right? Go, Beaver, go! Well, here's the why. The difference in coverage ultimately reveals an important truth about modern box office reporting. Expectations often matter more than the raw numbers. More importantly, though, reporting often reflects what the intended outcome will be, okay? So what do they want the outcome to be? Well, let's read along here, folks. This is going to explain everything to you. I think, and then we'll get the panel's thoughts on it. For Snow White, expectations were extremely high. Disney was reviving one of its most iconic properties, spending hundreds of millions of dollars. The film opened slightly below projections. The result was framed as a failure. Additionally, Hollywood had already turned against Rachel Zegler internally as a toxic, difficult, young semi-star who goes against corporate leadership and puts others' talent at risk. There was zero concern that a Snow White failure would destroy Disney live-action films down the road or stop the Disney princess line of money-making. Thus, Snow White was a narrative sacrifice Hollywood was happy to make. Journalists and influence were given the green light to tell the truth, and thus the stories flowed and flowed about how low it could go with Rachel Zegler, her career demolished. But for Hoppers, expectations were much lower, and the risk for failure tremendously higher. Original animated films have struggled in the theatrical market since the pandemic. Pixar had recently leaned heavily on sequels. When Hoppers opened in the mid-$40 million range, woohoo, what an amazing positive surprise. Framing the newest animated Disney film as a failure, that can't be allowed because that would have put Toy Story 5 in a different narrative light. Could have made Pixar be viewed as a damaged studio and might lead to investor concern about Disney's dominant hold on animation. There's zero benefit to the industry in casting Hoppers as anything other than a glowing success. And thus, that's how the story is going to be. Panel, what say you? It's amazing to me. Marv, you do this for a living. You cover it all the time. You're a journalist. You're the managing editor at geeksandgamers.com. You're the editor-in-chief of thatparkplace.com. What do you make of this difference in media coverage for Snow White and Hoppers when Snow White actually beat Hoppers?
So I think it's a little, so there are certain obvious differences that you have to look at. I don't think a lot of people really know that Hoppers exists. So they're just trying to like prop it up kind of as a major success story. It definitely doesn't have the heat going into it that, let's say, Snow White had. Snow White also had doubled the budget of Hoppers. So Hoppers has a reported budget of about $150 million plus another 60 something million for marketing. But if you follow the money, Mike, you'll see that Rachel Zegler's Snow White made about $204 million in its total global box office take. So it made the majority of its money in that opening weekend. If Hoppers is to follow suit and make $204 million, it will not break even. It will lose money. Hoppers probably needs to make something in the neighborhood of 150 million plus, let's say, so 300.
I think the 60, unless you've got a different number, Marv, I think the 60 is actually coming from the bride, the marketing.
You're right. I got that mixed up. Hoppers probably spent even more.
Yeah, we think Hoppers is about 100 million at least. And so 150 plus 100, that's the lowest we can go. 250, and thus it needs about $500 million to break even since they get 50% back. So I don't see that happening. Mike, do you see that happening? It's got 3 weeks until Mario, well, 2.5 weeks now, till Mario comes in, and Mario's going to wipe it off of the theaters.
Yeah, I mean, there was not a lot of good marketing going into this. People didn't even know what this movie was. I've heard no buzz about it really, except online. And typically, what's funny to me is if you go look at like Twitter and you see a lot of buzz for a movie where everybody's cheering the movie, typically the movie's not going to do that well. Like that is not an audience that's reflective of somebody actually caring about a studio. Even my kids watching this didn't think it looked good. My kids didn't even understand what was going on about it, and to me, word of mouth is kind of the currency of the realm right now when it comes to films. There was a lot of hype around like Zootopia 2. My kids were excited about it. Everybody was excited about it because they liked the first one. I don't know anything about it. And up until recently, I was legitimately concerned that there was going to be like some weird stuff in it, kind of like with that Seeing Red movie that came out. So yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all. This is one of those things I think probably was in the works for a while, and they probably were like, we've done a lot of work on it already, let's just get it out. But yeah, there wasn't enough hype around this movie, and I still don't know what this movie's about. So
I think the majority of people have no idea this even hit theaters.
Yes.
Yep.
I didn't know it came out today.
Jonas, speaking of that issue of being worried about what's in it and turning red and all that kind of stuff, strange world, Lightyear, there are reports out there, and I don't have these verified yet. I wonder if you do. There are reports that the main character was scrubbed at some point of, yet again, alphabet stuff, just like Elio.
I've heard that too, and I think, it's a funny thing. All of the former Pixar people that are on Twitter, because there were some pretty big purges of Pixar over the last few years, that there's a lot of reports coming out. It's hard to tell who actually is who they say they are on X. So yes, there are a lot of reports that this had heavier lesbian themes in it. So
right,
which those reports that Elio was scrubbed of all that stuff, that was very quiet at the time that Elio came out, and now it's in the Wall Street Journal to say, oh yeah, no, Elio was gay.
So to get since I maintain that since Inside Out 2, we have gotten the Saudi Arabia cut of all of these movies.
yeah there, and that's one that I honestly wonder if Disney would ever be okay with that, if there was an option for the super conservative folks or the super traditional folks to say, oh yeah, we'll do that, we'll take out the squiggly at the bottom there, and you can have your cut of the film.
Yeah. Geeks and Gamers is covering it this way. Valiant Renegade pours cold water on Pixar's #1 original debut since Coco. So this is the other thing that the media is carrying the water for this beaver, claiming that it's the #1 original film in like a decade. And Valiant Renegade apparently has taken this apart. Valiant Renegade has a new box office analysis video out, and he's got his sights set on Pixar. Pixar and Disney, for that matter, have not put out a decent original animated feature in years, and now it seems to have bounced back after the release of the recent animated film Hoppers, which opened in theaters on March 6th. The film has earned $46 million. You all know that. Story centers on a 19-year-old girl named Mabel, an environmental activist who hops her consciousness into a beaver to stop industrialism. No, really, that's what's it. Currently, the film sits at a certified fresh 94%. However, according to Valiant Renegade, This is far from the actual truth, talking about how Elemental and Elio apparently didn't perform better than this. And what Valiant Renegade talks about is the fact that they slipped in an extra day on this thing. And they've tried every way in the world. I mean, this is a massive amount of PR play to try to get this above and beyond the other movies. It's like they knew they had to. And I think it's to try to save Toy Story 5 and that narrative coming out. So I don't know. What do you guys think this damages Toy Story at all if this thing has a 40, 50, 60% drop and goes away with $200, $300 million at the box office?
No, I don't think this is going to have any bearing on Toy Story. I don't think anyone even realizes this is Pixar. Toy Story is its own thing at this point. Just like Inside Out, just like, Lightyear didn't damage Inside Out. I don't think this is going to have any impact on Toy Story whatsoever. It's Toy Story. It's going to make money.
Yeah, I think that right now, with the way things are, Disney's having an identity problem. Hoppers doesn't feel like a Disney film. It feels like a random DreamWorks film that might come out or something. Well, not even DreamWorks, because right now DreamWorks kind of dropping bangers too. Mm-hmm. But like, it just feels like a random animated film. Like if you showed me that without any marketing on it, I wouldn't be able to tell you what studio made that. Toy Story is an iconic brand, and I see a lot of people. That surprised me. A lot of people are really excited for Toy Story 5. They think it looks good, or they think it at least is going to be nostalgic, or, so I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, I think that like the Toy Story brand is kind of untouchable at this moment. I think Toy Story 5 is going to make a lot of money.
I'm worried that Toy Story 5 could damage that brand. 4 was not great.
No, it was not.
How could it be worse than 4, though?
They've got Andrew Stanton back, and that's a big deal. He's actually good when he's doing animation.
Well, and I just think that the I'm gonna be honest. I think at the time that Toy Story 4 came out and stuff, I just don't think it was not egregiously bad enough to damage the brand. It just kind of happened, and kids liked it. I know a lot of kids that like Toy Story 4, and that's what matters to parents is, did my kids like it? Mm-hmm. I think Toy Story 5 is going to do a lot of money. I also just think that right now Disney's kind of trying to extend a goodwill of like, hey, remember we still care about you guys, and here's more Toy Story.
So here's my worry about Toy Story. I think it'll make a lot of money either way, but it can damage the IP, and here's why. They're saying that it's about Jessie. Now we've moved from so we've moved from Buzz and Woody and Andy. That was the story before, right? That the stories were all about Buzz and Woody trying to vie for the affection of Andy, and it was a callback to childhood. Now it's about Jessie and Bonnie. That's another switch like what we saw with Star Wars. Kids might accept it, but I just wonder if internally some people are going to watch it and go, "They did it again." They did it again. They switched it into, a different kind of thing than it was before. And so that's my word for it.
Yeah, I'll throw one more thing in here on Toy Story 4, which, by the way, Toy Story 4 is a cursed movie for me. Every time I try to watch it, something happens that interrupts the movie. So on the third or fourth attempt, I just gave up.
It's divine intervention, so you don't have to see Woody's character destroyed.
Right. I've seen parts of it here and there, and I think I've probably seen the entire thing. Hoppers, the other thing that Valiant talked about in that video is if you adjust for inflation, Coco should be a $75 million opening.
Right.
So now Disney is competing with their past record. And as always with Disney, they don't adjust for inflation because they're just going for, here's the facts. We're back. And they've been saying that every single time, every last Pixar releases. We're back. The Pixar is back. The same thing Marvel does over and over again. They need that narrative of, we've restored it. We're not going to admit it was bad, but we've restored it.
Yep.
Well, it's how many times can you have a return to form before you state that the time before just was not a return to form?
Exactly.
The thing that I think need to start reporting on to be truthful when it comes to box office stuff is we got to talk about butts and seats. You have to talk about the amount of cultural impact that something had. And if you're counting butts and seats, it comes nowhere near what Coco did.
Right. And Coco was an unknown and then exploded afterwards. And this one's going to have the opposite, I think, because it has no runway. It's going up against Mario, and we know what's going to happen when Mario comes out. And then nobody's got to pretend anymore. All of the shills can stop shilling and just say, you know what? This is what popular is. This is what a cultural moment feels like. This is Mario. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.